All right, so the first one says a total of 24 students are in Alfred's class. The number of girls in the class is 3 more than twice the number of boys. If X represents the number of girls who are in Alfred's class and Y represents the boys, how many girls and boys are in Alfred's class? So, first thing we do is identify our variables, which they tell us, right? What do they say X is? It says it right in the problem. Good. X represents the number of girls. So right here, I'm going to write X equals the number of girls. What does Y represent? Beautiful. So sometimes they'll give it to you in the problem, sometimes they won't. If they don't give it to you, usually when you read it, the first thing you read, so if I read about girls first, girls is probably going to be my X. And if I read if boys come second in the word problem, boys is going to be my Y. Does that make sense? Then we're going to write our equation. So we usually have total goes with total, right? So doesn't matter how many girls total and how many boys, the girls plus the boys, how many people total is there in the class? 24, right? So that's my first equation. The girls plus the boys is 24. Then they tell me another situation. They say the number of girls, so what letter am I using for girls? X, and is. Is means what sign? Equals. So as soon as you see that word is, equals. The girls in the class is 3 more. So if I have 3 more, what does that mean? If I have $3 more brain bucks than Kamari, how do I figure that out? Do I multiply? Add, right? I have 3 more, so plus 3. Then twice the number. So what is twice? 2, and then my boys is Y. Do you see how we kind of figured that out? So the number of girls, and I know X is girls, is 3 more than twice the number of boys. So those are my 2 equations. So now I can see I'm probably going to be solving substitution, right? Person? I'm going to be solving substitution because I can see even from the quiz yesterday that this one solved for X. So I'm going to write the first equation down, and instead of X, what do they want me to substitute in? What does X equal? Beautiful. So 2y plus 3. So instead of X, I'm writing it as 2y plus 3. Then continuing to write it. Plus y equals 24. So the only thing new about this lesson is writing the actual problem. Then I'm not multiplying anything because it's basically just 1. So I end up getting 2y plus 3 plus 1y equals 24. Then what do I do? Combine like terms. So I have 2y plus 1y. What's 2 plus 1? Good. 3y plus 3 equals 24. Good. So we solve like a 2-step equation. Subtract 3, you get 3y equals 21. Then what do? Divide by 3. And so y equals 7. What did y represent at the top of the problem? Perfect. So how many boys are in there, class? 7 boys. So you kind of want to keep note of that because mostly the problems will say how many girls or how many boys. So you need to know what you're finding. This one wants us to find both. Solve for our second variable. We know that the girls plus the boys is 24. We know how many boys are in the class. How many boys are in the class? We just solved that. 7. So I would do X plus 7 equals 24. How do I figure out how many girls are in class? You end up getting X equals 17. And so that means I know that there are 17 girls in the class. I got a decimal as an answer, I would know that's not correct, right? Because can I have 0.5 or 2.5 boys in this class? No, that doesn't really make sense in this problem. So you need to make sure, does the problem make sense? Yeah, let's make sure. So I know that the number of girls is 3 more than twice the number of boys. So what's twice of 7? 2 times 7 plus 3. Good. So that makes sense. And when I add them together, they should be a total of 24. So I know my answer is correct. These you'll mostly see on your open-ended for your milestone, the word problems. Does that make sense how we did that? All right, we're going to do one more. And it looks like this. This is similar to what it's going to look like on your document. I actually copied and pasted it. So this says a gardener is planting 2 types of trees. There's type A that's 3 feet tall and grows at a rate of 15 inches per year. And B is 4 feet tall and grows at a rate of 10 inches per year. So how we did the ticket in the door is how we're doing this one. But first I noticed that they need to all be in inches. Are these in inches? Are all these units in inches? Nope. How tall, how many inches is in a foot? How many inches are in a foot? 12, right? So I'm going to need to multiply this by 12. Same thing with this number, because I want it all in inches. And so my equation, here's my type A. I'm going to actually define it after. So my type A is y equals, and what's changing each time, each year? What's happening? It's growing, right? So this one would be 15 inches per year. So 15 is going to be my slope. Remember that if it has per, each, every, it's usually your slope. Then the starting value of the tree is how many inches? What is 3 times 12? 36. So now it's all in inches. Type B, we're going to do the same thing. So it's y equals, and this is growing at a rate of what's increasing each year? How much is it increasing by? 10. And then plus, and what's 12 times 4? 48. So here are my 2 equations in inches. Now, when we're doing slope-intercept form, it's easier to define it after. So remember, whatever's after per is always your x. So what is after per here? Year. So I know that x represents my years. So the number of years. Y is always your total when it's slope-intercept. So if we're talking about total here, total what? Are we talking about total brain bucks, total money? What's happening with the trees? Are they growing in miles? What are they growing in? Inches. So we're looking at the total inches. Cool. So now we can see they're both equal to y. How do we use substitution when they're both equal to y? What do we do with those 2 equations? How do we solve that? If they're both equal to y, right? Make them equal to each other, because I can just substitute that in for y. So 15x plus 36 equals 10x plus 48. And I draw my ruler. So now you're going to move things around. So Tristan, what would I do first? Sure. You end up getting 15x equals 10x. And then right here it would be minus 12. Cool. Tanya, what would I do next? Beautiful. Subtract 10x. And you end up getting 5x equals, yeah, negative 12, or equals 12. That's positive. Now, how do I get x by itself? Divide, right? What do you end up getting? we go up to x, let's just make sure this makes sense. Yeah, I can have 2.4 years, right? So in 2.4 years, they'll be the same height. In 2.4 years, they'll be the same height. So if they just asked for the years, that would be my answer. If they ask for the total inches, I've got to plug it into either equation. I'm going to plug it into the second one, 10x plus 48. And I know my x, I just found it, is 2.4. What do you get when you plug that in? Well, when you multiply this, you get 24 plus 48, which ends up being what? 72. And so that means when I go up here, the total inches in 2.4 years, they'll be the same, which will be 72 total inches. Does that make sense how we solve those? Cool. So this morning, we're either going to do slope intercept form like that, or we're going to be doing substitution. Cool. So the next 3 problems on that next sheet are screenshotted from Delta Math. So I'm going to be going over those. If you feel comfortable where you're like, hey, and you look at them and you're like, hey, I know how to solve it, you can go ahead and get started on the Delta Math because they're screenshotted from it. If not, then I'm going to go over them for you, or with you, sorry. The tree one at the bottom is exactly like the tree one I just did, so I'm not going to do that one again. Does everyone get what you would do for this first one right here? Do you guys see how they're written as equations? See how there's a bunch of unnecessary mumble jumble there? Do you guys see how there's so many words? Look at how much they put there. All they want you to do is find when their payment will be the same. So you're just taking the 2 equations and making them equal to each other. That's it. So for this one, you would just take the 2 equations, make them equal to each other, and solve. This next one is what we just did, basically. Just remember to turn feet to inches. This one is the marble one, so it will say marble ones in your thing. And so remember, I have to label it. So if white comes first, X will be white. And so this one's on the back. I'll go over this one, so if you want to go over it with me, just so you have a little reference in case you need it for Delta Math. So X is my white marbles, and I'll have, since blue comes second, Y will be my blue marbles. And it says it contains 106 in total. So I know my white marbles plus my blue marbles is 106. The number of white, so what letter do we use to represent white? Or what letter? X or Y? X. White is, and is means what? Equals 6 more than, so I know I'm adding 6 more than 4 times the number of blue. So 4 times the number of blue, which is Y. Then you would solve it exactly the same way we solved the first one today. We would look and see, okay, I know this second equation has X by itself, so I know that I'm going to plug it in for this X. So instead of X, I'm going to plug that equation in. Then you solve, so you can take out the parentheses. Then what do? Combine my terms. What's 4y plus 1y? Then what do? So you end up getting 5y equals 100. Divide by 5. And you end up getting y equals 20. What's the question asking for? How many white marbles are there? What letter? See, they're only asking for white. And that's why a lot of people mess this Delta Math up. What is X or Y? X, right? So I need this. I just got Y. I just got solved for Y and got 20 marbles. So I'm going to need to plug it back in to solve for X. Let's just solve it for this one right here. X equals 4, Y plus 6. I know how many blue marbles do I have? I I know I have 20 because I just solved that. And then I just solved. So 4 times 20 equals what? Plus 6. Perfect. So in my delta math, I would write 86 as my answer. That's it. 86 answer. Does that make sense? Cool. So make sure if you didn't already, get a computer and